Welcome to Mental Health Matters. I'm your host, Chris Garrett. We're glad you could join us for this edition of Mental Health Matters, being brought to you by the Center for Life Management in partnership with the folks here at Derry Community Access Media. We're here today to welcome Julie Lego, coordinator of the collaborative care at the Center for Life Management. We'll also be speaking with Jennifer Chisholm from the Community Crossroads, who'll be joining us to talk about her organization and how they're collaborating together. So Julie Lego, we'll start with you. You work at CLM. How long have you been with CLM, and what do you do there?
Sure. I have been with the Center for Life Management in a variety of different clinical capacities for the last 7 years. I am currently the coordinator of collaborative care, and what I oversee different integrated care initiatives. So I oversee the program development and clinical supervision within that model. And within that, we have our continuum of collaborative care model, which we'll discuss today.
Okay, and then from Community Crossroads, the clinical director, Jennifer Chisholm. You've been with the organization for how long with Community Crossroads?
Yeah, I've been with Community Crossroads for 8 years, and we're an area agency that serves 11 towns in southern New Hampshire. We're based out of Atkinson, and we serve over 1,600 individuals, and we work to support individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as those with acquired brain disorders and traumatic brain injury, and we provide services for entire lifespan from birth on.
Now, so it's interesting, you have Community Crossroads and you're obviously with CLM. How did the partnership or the interagency collaboration come about here?
So Community Crossroads and Center for Life Management have always had a very positive relationship with one another. And it recently, I would say in the last 7 years, when Julie came on board, we started to really recognize that we provide a lot of these similar supports and services to both individuals in each of our respective agencies. So we figured we might as well team up and put our brains together.
And what about from your end?
Sure. We really tried to focus in our collaborative care team to focus on quality over quantity, making sure that we are providing quality of service and not just having a bunch of people at the table. By bringing our teams together, we can each work in our individual areas of expertise, provide education to our partners, and really just have a very focused approach to person-centered care.
And it's wide-ranging, too. I mean, the services you guys offer from both departments end up helping a lot of people.
Absolutely. I think that the collaboration between both of the agencies have not only enhanced the different areas of support that we can provide, but have created new areas of support that we've been able to provide more of a wraparound approach to the individuals that we serve.
And I think part of it is that it's co-occurring, so it's somebody who might have a mental health issue and then something else, whether it's a debilitating brain or whether it's a traumatic brain injury or autism. So any of those things in combination, you're trying to work with not just the individual, but you work with individuals, families, and groups, right? So you work with any of that combination.
Absolutely. We, as we've gone, we have expanded our service delivery. So we had, at the very beginning, started with individual therapy. Now we're offering groups. We are offering really all of the services that CLM has to provide. We are able to have providers who have a specialized background in intellectual disability to provide those mental health services. It's pretty fantastic.
And what are some of the other services? Because I saw the breadth of what it was, whether it's like medication management and again going out meeting in the home or clinically meeting with people and then taking these people through the process, whether it's a brain injury or autism, and you have to work with them and the families as well because it's about educating them, right?
Absolutely. We will really meet the individuals where their needs are. So if that is meeting them in the office for therapy or in the community, we really just focus on whatever that person may need at the time.
And they're also able to, what's really wonderful about the collaboration between the agencies is we're able to host meetings or get together with teams at our respective agencies so they can really see that partnership come to light. We do a lot of our annual meetings that are our big meetings for our individuals at the Center for Life Management. We have everybody at the table at the same time, and it really shows them we're here, we're in this together, and we're going to support you all together.
Now, I know it seems like there's a kind of a niche with a specific group that would be affected or helped by this. And how do you find these people? How do these people find you?
So we have been able to figure out how to not only refer individuals to both of our respective agencies for additional supports if they're not already receiving services from both of us, but also because we talk so frequently and we're in collaboration with one another so frequently, we are able to talk to families and teams about, I really think these additional supports and services could be a benefit to not only the individual, but the teams themselves. And then we're able to have the conversations with one another of, these are where we're finding the gaps in the supports that this individual really could use. So we're able to have those conversations one-on-one and talk about what we feel like is missing, what we feel like is working really well, and what we feel like could be developed even further.
Now, what are some of the specific programs in the collaboration that you can roll out?
Sure. So right now, our collaborative care team is made up of 4 clinicians that serve the different populations under the collaborative care umbrella. 3 of our clinicians that work specifically with our folks that we support mutually have a background in providing direct support work. So they have been kind of in the trenches of the work that we do working with individuals with intellectual disabilities. They have really learned from the ground up. And it is the expectation in our model that our clinicians serve dual roles. So they don't just do therapy, but they're cross-trained in other services like functional support services, illness management recovery, and we even have a clinician who authors behavior plans. We call them clinically informed behavior plans for Community Crossroads to make sure that mental health symptoms are being taken into consideration on the influence that has on behavior. So we provide a variety of services, and the reason we have our team cross-trained is to really meet the individuals where they're at. They might come in and the plan might be therapy, but maybe they really need something different, and we're able to just switch hats for a little bit and meet them where they're at. We also provide medication monitoring. Other members of our team provide supported employment. Really anything that CLM has to offer, our clients have access to as well.
As Mental Health Matters, we're talking with Julie Lego from CLM, and we're talking with Jennifer Chisholm from Community Crossroads. So this partnership, collaboration, interagency cooperation started, about 7 or 8 years ago?
About 7 years ago.
And you 2 guys have been piloting this program together since then?
Yeah, I mean, we basically both realized that we had a passion for not only the individuals that we support, but for moving it forward in a way that better supports the individuals and puts a more creative spin on some of the approaches that you can come up against barriers and roadblocks for various reasons. And as soon as we were able to start working together, we realized we shared this passion for the work that we do, and we shared the feel that we needed to take this further, and that the individuals that we serve need more. They deserve more to have a more well-rounded life. And I think since we've been able to find that little niche and realize that we both have this, we've had all the more momentum behind us. And that doesn't go without saying that the leaders at both of our respective agencies have really given us the support that we needed. They've been behind us 100%. And I think both of our agencies having that relationship from the get-go was really an integral part of helping us to move everything in the speed that we wanted to.
The senior management of both of our agencies has really been instrumental. This all started with just asking a question of, we noticed that we're doing some of the same services. How about if we try it together? And we just got the answer, go ahead and try it. And that wonderful support from our senior management has taken us very far to go from a try it to now an expectation of care in our region. And our hope really is to create a replicable model that can hopefully be brought throughout the state of New Hampshire and create an expectation of care for our folks.
I mean, is that something, obviously, you got into this, 7, 8 years ago, it's gone well, it should be a model, you would think. What are some of the goals that you both have, CLM and Community Crossroads, for this joint project?
So I think first and foremost, what we've always tried to do is to increase the capacity within our own agencies to really inform and provide training and education to those that work around us, to our fellow colleagues, so that they understand the importance of making sure that we're addressing things from both a mental health perspective and a perspective from somebody who has an intellectual or developmental disability. And by informing those that we work with, we're able to kind of create those pods and then an entire agency worth of people who are well informed and share the same passion. And one of our major goals is to take that passion, which has started to be noticed around the state from various other agencies, and show them this is a replicable model. This is something that you can do. You can build these relationships between the agencies. And I think because we see how well it works and the impact that it has on the individuals, we would love for other agencies to jump on board and to get in the bandwagon with us.
We share all the time that what we do isn't rocket science. Sometimes the most effective things are common sense. But it's the relationship that we have between our agencies and the willingness of our staff to create multidisciplinary teams and really collaborate. It's that really takes it forward and allows us to truly believe that this is a sustainable model in other areas as well.
It's just a great idea that you guys came together and did, and you'd like to think in the medical industry that more stuff would happen like this. So you find it, when I say co-occurring, so are there a lot of people out there with dual issues like that, whether it's a mental health issue of some kind and whether it's a brain disability or autism or anything like that? I mean, it seems like there's a need out there, but there are a lot of people.
And I think there's a lot of, as people become more aware that these dual diagnoses are occurring, the more people are realizing that what might seem to be either a mental health diagnosis or a behavior or maybe a misunderstanding of the way that a person is presented is actually when you're seeing a combination of both. I think no one person is the same, and there's always the possibility that there's an underlying either a mental health condition or an intellectual disability or something that isn't quite, we can't put a label on everything, and every individual deserves to be looked at as just that, an individual. So I think when we're putting our brains together and really trying to make sure that we're both saying, what are we missing? What does this individual need? We're realizing more and more that dual diagnoses is pretty commonplace amongst both of our agencies.
And are you finding that out after the fact? I mean, or when do you usually find out about the dual diagnoses?
It depends. Somebody may come to Community Crossroads and have been in services for a long time, but have a life experience that exacerbates mental health symptoms. They may have trauma and they may not have shared that right away, and that could come out later. At the mental health center, we often get people, and as we get to know them, we say, there may be something a little more here. Let's connect with them with Community Crossroads to get the services they need, or just get an eligibility for services. We truly find that mental health conditions don't discriminate. So whether somebody has an intellectual disability or not, mental health is prevalent. We also know from a variety of, depending on what research you're looking at, anywhere between 70 or upwards of 90% of individuals who experience an intellectual disability have had some type of trauma in their life. And that really reinforces the need for specialized mental health care, which we're able to provide at our agency.
And it seems like to me, and I don't know if you can tell, it seems like a lot of younger people are getting mental health anxiety. I mean, are you seeing more younger people with these kind of problems now? A lot more?
We certainly, I know from our agency, we certainly are getting a lot more referrals, a lot more cases in where we're seeing a lot of those enhanced mental health symptoms or an awareness. And I think that's a big part of it is, an overall awareness and more education about what these symptoms may look like. But I also think that with the ability to get more services in place, there's more diagnoses being made. There's more services to address things at a younger age and to start things at a younger age rather than, finding out later, along the line that there was something missed.
Now, do you guys think it's more prevalent now, or we're finding it more now? There's more research, more discovery?
That's a really good question. I think I couldn't speak to that for sure 100%, but I really feel that we have a greater awareness of our population, and we're also very much understanding the differences in what mental health needs may look like in somebody who has an intellectual disability. We actually use a diagnostic tool that is specific to people with intellectual disabilities because their symptomatic presentation can be a bit different than our general population. That's when being able to pick up the phone and call Jen, she's on my speed dial, but we are, and we talk multiple times a day, but being able to talk and say, can I run a hypothetical by you? What do you think of this? And we're not having to wait anymore. We're not having to schedule meetings for every little thing. The ease of our communication has just really improved access to care.
We're talking to Jennifer Lego from CLM and Jennifer Chisholm from Community Crossroads. We've talked about some great stuff that you guys are doing. What I want to come back is talk a little bit more about some of the services and then maybe some of the gratification and success stories that you have. Obviously, your passion is bleeding that, but we want to talk about some of the things that make you feel good and some of the success stories you've had with this program over the past 8 years. All right, right back with the second portion of Mental Health Matters. Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. I'm your host, Chris Garrett. We're here today with Jennifer Chisholm, the Director of Clinical Services at Community Crossroads, and Julie Lego, Coordinator of Collaborative Care at the Center for Life Management. Now, before we broke, we were just getting into some of the other services that the collaborative effort puts together. Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to talk about?
So one of the most important aspects of our continuum of collaborative care model is the specialized therapy that we provide. We've created a model of therapy we often refer to as bookends therapy. And in that model, we still focus on the autonomy that individuals need to have and the confidentiality that individuals need to have within their clinical services. However, we kind of do the beginning and the end, the bookends of sorts.
I like that.
And and it works well. So offering, if a client should choose to go this route, offering for somebody in their support system. So that could be a family member, it could be a paid support, somebody from Community Crossroads, a friend. But for somebody to come in the first few minutes and let's check in, see how things are going. And then we say, let's kick you out because it's their session. And in that time, in between, the individual really gets to focus on what is important to them, what skills do they need to support their mental health symptoms. And then at the end, we invite that support system back in. And the client is then responsible for teaching the skills to their support. It really helps to enhance accountability of the supports to reinforce these skills throughout the week because we know that therapy isn't meant to stay in a 1 hour block within 4 walls. So having that support come in has been really instrumental in the successes that we've seen because our clients are able to share what's the most important thing I talked about today, and here are the skills I am going to use, and here's the support I need from you to be able to use these skills to be successful in my symptom management over the next week. Community Crossroads has been phenomenal at helping to reinforce skills and ensure that this model is adhered to, and I really think that plays a very large role in the success we've had at decreasing psychiatric hospitalizations for the mutual folks that we support. So people that are fully integrated into all services that are deemed necessary, we've had 0 psychiatric hospitalizations over the last 7 years.
Yeah, and I think one of the greatest parts about that model of therapy, especially when you have somebody from the support system who's joining in, is a typical way that somebody might view therapy is to go in and say that everything that's been going wrong or everything that they've done wrong or what happened that was bad that day. And one of the greatest shifts that we've seen is the focus of when you walk in that door, what's going well? And it not only shifts the mindset within the client, but also within the team of let's talk about what's been going well. Right. Let's really focus on how great, I've been doing at this skill or that skill. And not only walking in the door that way, and then discussing some of the things that might be more challenging, but ending on that note as well and saying, even though these things might be a challenge here, here's where I'm headed, and here's where I've been. So we've just seen a huge shift for the positive in that light.
Reinforce the positive, right? What a great idea.
Absolutely.
And it works too.
Yeah.
It does work.
It proves to them from the get-go that even if you've had a really, really tough week, we can still go back to where you've been skillful or something that's gone well, and you can almost see a shift. We'll see people come in and they automatically, naturally in therapy, want to vent. But as soon as we mention that positive and ask what's been going well and say, we'll get to those pieces that you want to focus on, but tell me what's going well first. Once they get to telling you the things that are challenging, you can almost see physically that heaviness and that burden isn't there as much as it was when it was the first thing they wanted to mention.
like kind of a relief.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's a great innovative program you got. What would you guys, the ultimate goal? Would you like to spread this, to other areas of the state and maybe even New England at this point if it works like well? Is that the idea?
100%. We see it work so well, not only between ourselves, but also most importantly for the teams and the individuals that we support and serve. And we have always said that this is a replicable model. This is something that it's not rocket science, it's relationships. It's building that trust within one another and really showing, the proof that's within the success of the individuals that we serve. You can't deny that there's more smiles, that there's more, like Julie was saying, a weight lifted off of the shoulders. So our ultimate goal is to have this go statewide, to have this be something that other agencies feel like we can do this, we can build these relationships, and to have it be not the exception anymore, but the rule. This is the expectation. And we've set that mindset not only within our own agencies, and it's become the expectation at this point, but we've noticed that there's the interest, around it. They see how well it works, and why not? It should.
Positive begets positive, right? Which is awesome. So, well, you guys have done some great work together. Obviously, you're very passionate about what you do, and it shows in your work and just talking with you. But obviously, the gratification you get is seeing the successes in some of these people. So I'd love you to maybe share some of those stories, if you don't mind, of some of the success stories of your program.
Sure. We have had, we could tell you the story of so many people, and I think this is probably our favorite part of our job, is to talk about how well things have gone. We have individuals all the time that come from a variety of backgrounds. It is very frequent that they may have a hard time advocating for themselves at meetings, get very anxious about that. They may have some challenges within family dynamics. And through these, through the efforts that we've made, because we focus on the whole team and we support improving consistency through the team, we've seen a lot of success of people just coming and advocating for themselves, really looking forward to their meetings now, being able to say, hi everybody, this is my meeting and this is what I want, and setting the stage that everybody will be heard.
Sure. And especially at our meetings, a lot of times you'll notice the tendency for goals to be made for a person. And what we really try to do is to make sure that in one way or another, that person has a voice at their meeting. And whether that's making a list beforehand of what's important to them, no matter what it is, or helping them to voice those wants and those needs at the meeting, we're finding that it's no longer goals for a person, it's goals from the person. And you get buy-in at that point. You get somebody who actually wants to work towards goals that they've created for themselves. They see the importance in it, and we end up seeing a great turnout from it. We'll come back, whether it's month after month or week after week or year after year, and we start to see a lot of the progress that's being made, the success that's being made, and a bigger smile, less anxiety. You can't deny that when somebody walks in that room and instead of sitting in the back corner and saying, nope, I have nothing to say, you have someone, here I am, here's my meeting, I can't wait to share with you what the goals are.
We had one woman who went from being so anxious about her annual meetings, it really had a very hard time entering the room. And through therapy, we are able to identify when a meeting will occur and give it enough time that we can actually role play the individual's participation in that meeting in advance. In the room it will happen, and they can pick their seat, but they can also practice those skills if they do need to step out. That woman in particular that had a really hard time, I always have her in the back of my mind because her very last meeting with us before she graduated from services, she said, it was our biggest room, and she said, this is so cool. And I thought she'd be a little overwhelmed by the size of the room, and she said, can we get a disco ball? And I thought, yes, this was it. Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
Well, and how many people do you serve on a weekly or monthly basis at this point?
So in our model, we serve individuals that do have community crossroads services, but then at CLM, we also serve individuals who have co-occurring mental health disorders and intellectual disabilities or traumatic brain injury who do not have community crossroads. Total right now, in the variety of services we provide, we have about roughly 150 individuals identified with an intellectual disability or traumatic brain injury and co-occurring mental health need. And then with Community Crossroads, it's a good chunk of our population, but it's not the whole population.
So, and you're working together with all these patients?
We are. And, the really interesting thing that's developed as well is even if we don't share mutual individuals or clients, we'll often pick up the phone and call one another to have the conversation about what would you suggest we do to support this person, and we're able to do that. And I think that's another really important point to bring up, is that not only are we helping individuals that we support, but we're also we're teaming up together to bring that education to our agencies and our staff to make sure that they're able to mutually support the individuals as well, and come at things from both perspectives and look at things in a new light and say, are we missing something, or should we maybe call Julie, or should we call Jen, and really talk this through. And when we're seeing those conversations happen more and more, and that collaboration happen more and more, it's no longer something that just Julie and Jennifer have to take the lead on. It's something that we're seeing others do, and that's when you start to see the momentum move forward.
And I would assume with the passion you guys bring that it's infectious within the staffs as well. I can only imagine.
We have a great team.
We really do.
We really refer to CLM as a home for Community Crossroads staff and vice versa. We refer to our team as a multidisciplinary team. So there's really not this us and them. And the one of the things that's been very nice is I truly believe we have been able to increase appropriate referrals to each other's agencies, understanding that the referral process on each end, being able to call, and at CLM we actually pre-screen intakes to make sure that we have all of the information necessary when somebody comes and walks in the door. We're not starting from scratch, and that makes a big difference.
And being able to share that information obviously is big as well.
And it's all with guardian or individual permission. But we can pass hypotheticals by, and we're good at figuring that piece out.
And how is it in terms of educating the families when you have a child or younger child? That must be difficult as well.
It absolutely can be. Julie brings up an interesting point about a screening process. We also have one at our agency as well. When somebody comes in for an intake, we like to ask certain questions. It's a separate questionnaire that might highlight some things that may or may not be something that is a mental health diagnosis or just some mental health symptoms that, if we feel like they could benefit from additional supports and services, we're able to have that screening tool to bring light and some education, so that even if it's just picking up the phone in a conversation with the Center for Life Management, it brings some more awareness to ask some certain questions about that. So it can be something that's difficult to broach with families, but certainly beneficial. I feel like the schools are really great at that as well nowadays. But I think just opening up that conversation and showing them there are multiple agencies and avenues that you can get those additional supports and services makes them feel more open to it.
And I got to imagine that people, because it's not something you just walk into, but it must be great for people to say, wow, there are these services that are actually out there that can help me.
Yeah, it's nice.
I didn't know they were there.
Right, and we hear that all the time.
Right.
And a lot of times we also hear from people that may live in a different area, and they'll say, why don't we have that? And we'll say, well, let us help you. And that's really our goal. But it is nice to be able to talk to a family that may not have Community Crossroads, and rather than just handing them a pamphlet or giving them a phone number, explaining to them about the relationship we have. Because if we've built the trust with that family, they do trust our referral process. But when they can see the strength in that relationship, it really leads to improved outcomes and improved follow through for the additional necessary services. Right.
Well, that's great. So if somebody had a situation, now they're seeing this, say, oh, there is help out there. How would they go about asking or reaching out? Where would they begin this process, I guess?
Sure. So they can either find our information online, and so Community Crossroads is based out of Atkinson, New Hampshire, and we have an intake coordinator who's happy to help people out, but it's just a simple phone call to our main line to explain what they're looking for, and we'll connect you to the right person.
Sure. And at the Center for Life Management, we also have our website, but we also have a phone extension for our intake department. And simply, if it is mentioned, they have a list of keywords. So if it's mentioned that somebody has an intellectual disability, autism, traumatic brain injury, no matter what that is, it will actually be screened over to me, and somebody on my team or I will make a phone call to the family, and we'll gather the information. They do not have to be connected to Community Crossroads to get services. If they are not currently connected with them, but we feel like that's an appropriate referral, we'll support them in making that, but we'll take anybody into our team that experiences a developmental need and co-occurring mental health need.
Well, Julie and Jennifer, this half hour has flown by. You guys have been great, giving some great information about your programs, and we're looking forward to hopefully rolling this out statewide in the very near future.
That would be great.
that would
Thank
be
you so much.
All right, thanks for coming again. That's going to wrap up this edition of Mental Health Matters.